Ham radio operators responded to the California wildfire situation outside of Los Angeles. Wildfires have been burning and raging for some time now, and some ham radio operators are stepping up and volunteering for various roles inside and outside of radio, so we're going to talk about that now. I've been doing some research about what is amateur radio's role in the wildfire situation, and quite frankly, I haven't really been able to find a whole lot of information about ham radios being set up in the area or two-way radio of any kind, not just ham radio, CB radio, GMRS, whatever, even fire and police personnel radio. I haven't been able to find a lot of information. I put out a feeler on, I think it was Twitter and maybe my YouTube community tab a couple of weeks ago, and some people linked me to a Broadcastify repeater that you could listen to activity that was going on in the area. I did a little bit of that, but as far as like actual news stories, I haven't found a whole lot until yesterday. I found this, and this article is about almost a week old at the time of this recording, but at ARRL.org in the news section, they're talking about ham radio operators serving during California firestorms. Okay, and this was written on January 13th, so about a week ago, not quite a week ago at the time of this recording. As the firestorms across Southern California continue to threaten millions of residents, trained amateur radio operators are serving in critical volunteer roles to help officials spot fires before they get out of control. Okay, dry conditions and wind gusts up to 100 miles an hour fueled days of devastating wildfire. Entire neighborhoods have been leveled by infernos. The Eaton Fire Department, on top of Mountain Wilson, a critical logistical spot for broadcast radio and television stations, as well as communications across the Southland. Okay, so we've got fire on top of Mountain Wilson where broadcast radio towers are. Federal agencies, air traffic control, local emergency responders, radio amateurs, and others all share the tower space on that mountain. Okay, maybe that's one of the Broadcastify repeaters. This article doesn't really tell you which repeaters or which frequencies or anything that they're monitoring. I was looking for a little bit of that, and I didn't find much. But this is just telling us about kind of what's going on out there. This gives us a very high-level overview. It's not an in-depth article, but it is good information. Okay, while the main fires have been burning north and northwest of the central section of Los Angeles, just to the south, hams are standing watch. Orange County Fire Watch, OCFW, is a program locally organized by the Orange County Parks Department and Irvine Conservancy. During severe fire weather, volunteers go into pre-assigned locations within parks and open spaces to report conditions. Many of them are hams using amateur radio bands to fill in mobile network weak zones. Now, mobile network weak zones is something I wanted to touch on because as we learned post-Hurricane Helene, there were sections of North Carolina and eastern Tennessee that were without power and therefore without cell service for several days. Actually, a few sections, it was more than 2 or 3 weeks after Hurricane Helene. And I did an interview with 2 or 3 of the guys that were working that area in the amateur radio world, and they were talking about how, the cell service is a little bit spotty out there on a normal day. And after the power went out for several days and the hurricane came through and destroyed a bunch of infrastructure, of course, cell sites in certain pockets were completely down. I did a whole video about a non-licensed ham, a non-licensed person, doing a call on a repeater to bring a water truck to the VFW in the area, and that was all taken care of through the use of two-way radio. So, we've been looking at disasters like this for a long, long time, guys. This ham radio was used crucially post 9/11. It was used crucially post Hurricane Katrina and many, many other storms, not just in the United States. Again, I've been doing a little bit of poking around, trying to find information about how this is going. I have reached out to the emergency coordinator of the ARRL in Aries, and I'm waiting on a response from a couple of those guys. I did find this interesting. This came across my feed yesterday. And I was actually laying in bed last night. We went out to dinner and came back, and I was laying in bed kind of poking around on my phone. And the thing that really caught me about this video over anything else was his thumbnail, honestly, because he put this thumbnail up, and it looked like, why is no one talking about this? He had the California wildfires behind him and a CB radio in front of him. And he goes on, and he makes a good point, and he goes on to say that everybody's talking about cell phones all the time, on a normal day. And nobody's talking about the use of two-way radio. And he lives in an area where cell phone coverage is spotty even on a normal day. Even on a good day, when nothing is going on, there are spots around the area where you might be on a call and your cell phone drops and the signal drops and you don't have any cell phone coverage at all. That happens everywhere. I can name several spots around the North Texas area where that's happened, and you can drive through it and be on a phone call, or I'll have something connected via my Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone and it'll drop. I'll have my open spot connected to my Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone, and I'll be driving up a road towards the deer lease at a certain place, and guess what? The signal drops, because the open spot announces itself, it disconnects, it tries to reconnect. A couple miles later down the road, it will reconnect and it's restored and everything's good again. But there are spotty cell signals everywhere on a normal day. So he's talking about how no one's talking about the use of two-way radio. And I'm like, well, we've been talking about that for a long time on this channel. I did comment on his video, and he did reply to me. He's like, hey, man, thanks for being over here. I do love your channel. And he's like, Hurricane Helene was kind of a wake-up call for him, he said. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. Let's get together and do some collaboration stuff. Apparently, he's going to Hamvention, he says. So Fairpoint Farms is the channel over there. I will link that video in the description below. But I definitely wanted to talk a little bit more about this ARRL article because this provides, like I said, a really good high level of information about what hams are doing in the area to assist fire departments, emergency service personnel, these contingencies. It looks like Orange County Fire Watch, which is a group of locally organized people in Orange County, and how ham radio is, and two-way radio in general, is being set up to use as communications to fill in gaps where cell phones just simply do not work right now and may have been spotty even on a regular day, even before the fire started. Now, first, let me tell you about if you want to set up a GoPack to go into an area and set up comms to fill in communications somewhere. I always take my Mezzi and Poloni coax with me. I have one of their POTA rolls. It's a 50-foot POTA roll. That's what I take with me when I go and set up POTA somewhere. If I was to be deployed to an emergency situation today, I would grab my backpack, my radio pack, and my M&P coax 50-foot POTA roll, and that's what I would take into the field today. Today's video is sponsored by Mezzi and Poloni coax. You can always save a 10% discount at the link in the description below with the coupon code of HR2Cables. Go check that out. Link in the description below. Thank you, MP, for supporting the channel. This article goes on to say, ARRL National Instructor Gordon West, WB6NOA, is among the deployed volunteers. All right, Gordo is out there, and Gordo's a great guy. He's got a lot of energy for a dude his age. He's a wonderful, wonderful inspiration of amateur radio. I'll just put it that way. He's fun to talk to. He said, hams are stepping up. We're all over the ARRL orange section on hilltops, reporting the wind and humidity, ash seen coming down, scanning for spot fires, none so far, smoke from the LA fires, guest activity at the parks, and being a presence at trailheads with reflective vests and vehicle signs indicating fire watch. So that sounds to me like they're doing more than just talking on the radio, which is great. Part of volunteering for amateur radio is being available to do whatever is needed at the location where you're presently at. It might be talking on the radio, it might be setting up an antenna, it might be directing traffic, it might be anything, but volunteering and being out there is a huge deal, and I hope that these guys are all staying safe. Ray Hutchinson, AE6H, is a retired firefighter who serves as the chief radio officer for Firewatch. He says local clubs are key to providing the needed RF infrastructure. Our local club, the South Orange Amateur Radio Association, SOARA, an ARRL special service club, provides linked 2-meter and 70-centimeter repeaters, one high level and one coastal, for use by OCFW hams during deployments. There's a formal OCFW net control station, NCS, for the entirety of these events. Radio amateurs are also ready to and able to serve at evacuation centers, providing support as needed. So that's what I said a minute ago about not just being on the radio, but serving where support is needed. Members of ARRL headquarters staff have been in touch with ARRL volunteers and other ham radio groups around the affected area and are offering material support for activations. It has been a busy start to the year for ham volunteers, said ARRL Public Relations and Outreach Minister Sierra Harrop, W5DX. Whether it's firestorms or ice storms or any other need, ARRL volunteers selflessly serve their communities. We're mindful that the large-scale events like this impact hams who are actively serving. And then it gives a quote here from Josh Johnston, KE5MHW, who is the Director of Emergency Management for ARRL. He's been on calls with FEMA and other served agencies offering ARRL resources. Efforts are being coordinated by the Emergency Network Los Angeles, volunteer organizations active in disaster VOAD, and another group in Southern California. And Johnston urges hams in the affected regions to be ready to take care of themselves and their families before needing to deploy. That's good advice. He points to sources shared by ARRL's ARES service during a National Preparedness Month, which is this month, National Preparedness Month. These are stressful events for everyone, and being a ham volunteer is a really second job to keeping yourself and your family safe. And then down here at the bottom, it talks about radio amateurs involved in ARES and other work through ham radio are encouraged to let ARRL news staff know of what's happening in their local area, news@arrl.org. And if you spot an article in the media that highlights the work of ham radio, send it to newsmedia@arrl.org. I'd like you to send that to me too, because I haven't, like I said at the beginning, I haven't really been able to find much about this specific story and article and effort right now. This ARRL article is a great one, so I will post that in the description below as well. I did, and I wish I could remember. Guys, I make so many videos that I forget sometimes what I say in each. I know what I said. 90% of the time I know what I said, but I don't remember which video I said it in. Sometimes so. Oh, man, it's just one of those things. I was talking with someone, and this was around the Hurricane Helene area, and I was talking with someone about how, so back during the Puerto Rico devastation that took place, I think in, 2012, 13, whenever that was, 2017, I don't, it was a few years ago, back during the Puerto Rico event where they lost power for several months in various places on the island, and ham radio operators were deployed to assist with efforts there. I interviewed somebody, and I don't remember who it was. I'm going to have to go back and find it. And they were talking about how they were reaching out to ham radio operator volunteers for assistance and not getting much response. They did get some response, but not as much as they needed. They just needed too many people. They needed too many people at that location. And I remember thinking when I was interviewing this guy, I'm like, I don't remember hearing about that, because that's something I probably would have deployed for. They're talking about ARRL volunteers in this article, and I want to know what type of mailing list, what type of notification list can we get on to be notified of help that's needed in certain areas, even if it's not in our own area. And maybe they don't want extra people coming into this area, so they're not sharing that right now. Sometimes you get flooded and you get too many people in one area. I know of a couple of places where after Hurricane Helene, they were like, hey, we want volunteers, but don't just show up. We want coordinated efforts, so contact this person first. And I'm looking for something like that because I haven't been able to find anything like that about the California wildfires. I'm like, okay, so I may or may not be able to deploy myself, but I can share it with you guys. And I could say, if you guys are closer than I am in the area, available volunteer, contact this person or this email address or something and reach out from there. But I haven't found anything like that yet. So if anyone has anything like that, please put a comment below. Email me, kc5hwb@gmail.com. We're going to watch this story. We're going to follow this story. And I've reached out to some people at the ARRL for further comments, so maybe we'll get an interview upcoming soon. 73, guys. Thanks for watching. YouTube thinks you want to watch this video right here next, so go check that out. 73.